Meanwhile, the chat section is open, and if you can hear me well, then please write in the chat that you can hear me, or if you have any problem hearing me, then also let us know in the chat box, please. Yeah, audio is good. Thank you, Tian. Thank you, Ihab. Thanks for the confirmation. Okay. Let's start with a then quick introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Very happy to have you on board and welcome you to this webinar about advancing energy storage in Nigeria. Even though the webinar is about Nigeria, it has a lot of useful information, technical, commercial stuff related to procurement that are relevant to the energy storage industry in general, that I encourage you to listen to, even though you are not active in the Nigerian market. There's a lot to learn today, and that's guaranteed. The webinar is sponsored by Jinko Solar, the leading global energy company that is active in the solar PV and energy storage, among other applications. We are also joined by Odyssey Energy Solutions that will be covering a very important aspect in the value chain of renewables projects with energy storage. Basically, introduce myself. My name is Munif Barakat. I'm from SolarAbic, which is the most visited renewable energy platform dedicated for the Middle East and African region. If you're not able to join us via Zoom, then we are broadcasting these sessions over social media as well. You can join the Jinko Solar Sub-Saharan Africa team on Facebook and watch that live as well, in case you can't have a stable connection here over Zoom. If you have questions during the session, I encourage you all to send these questions as soon as they occur to you. Send them please in the Q&A section. Don't send them in the chat section so they don't get lost among other chat messages in there. Please send them in the Q&A section so we make sure that to answer these questions in the end of the session. The importance of the energy storage topic in Nigeria is due to the, let's say, a lot of specific importance for this country, as it is the most populous country in Africa, with more than 200 people in it, and a lot of power demand that is also causing, let's say, some pressure on the electricity grid, and causes a lot of also failures and outages. Now, as of 2021, the country had approximately 12.5 gigawatts of installed generation capacity. Most of that capacity is not always available, which is also causing, let's say, a lot of outages throughout the year, especially at the peak demand period. That's why also the country has announced a lot of renewable energy projects. And I think Nigeria is one of the biggest, let's say, pipelines in Africa, with more than 10 gigawatts of solar PV projects announced. Not many are commissioned yet, but hopefully we see a lot of projects being built at utility scale and at distributed generation markets in the region. Definitely power cuts will remain for some time in Nigeria as part of the daily life, and that's erratic power supply has led a lot of households and businesses to rely heavily on the diesel power generators, which are both environmentally unfriendly and expensive on the long run, especially that the cost fluctuates with the cost of the fuel. That's why the battery energy storage comes into play in here as a very important component to the energy grid in Nigeria. First of all, it helps to stabilize the grid. Grid stabilization in Nigeria is very important. So the energy could be stored at periods when demand is low, and then this energy could be dispatched later on. It helps to also keep the grid frequency in order. It helps us to integrate more renewable energy to the grid. Obviously, with such a huge solar pipeline, there is a lot to connect, and also a lot of fluctuation in the generation of solar and wind that needs to be stabilized by some flexibility resources like battery energy storage. That's also important in the DG market. It helps us to reduce the generator costs. The generator costs are very important, or let's say an important component that when it comes to fuel, and it's always good to have a solution that doesn't require such a high OPEX. Now, definitely energy storage is not super easy and fast to implement in the end because of the initial high costs. The capex is very high. The value chains have been, let's say, affected by many events in the last couple of years, putting pressure on energy storage, keeping the prices a bit high, and making it difficult to procure such solutions. And that's something that Odyssey Energy today will be covering, let's say, as they help a lot of developers in order to procure these systems. Definitely, we hope to see much more policy updates, lots of regulations that would favor energy storage. So we may see a lot of more, let's say, flexibility resources in the market. And part of what we do in this webinar also to raise awareness about this, as it is, let's say, not taken for granted. We can't take it for granted that it is already understood by the market how important are energy storage solutions to the grid. Hopefully, this webinar will be helpful for everyone attending it. So I don't want to take much time in the intro, and I wish to introduce right away my speakers today. Justin Tinsey, he's the Vice President of the Procurement Solutions and at Odyssey Energy Solutions. And after that, we'll have a presentation from Yewande OLATUNDE, the Technical Sales Manager for West Africa at Jinko Solar. My esteemed speakers today will be providing an overview about the energy storage market and regulations in Nigeria and in Africa in general. We will talk about the latest advancements and technologies from Jinko Solar, and then we will be covering the best practices to procure energy storage with a couple of case studies that will be covered today as well. Now, before I hand over to Justin and you meet our esteemed speakers today, we wish to learn a little bit more about the attendees. And that's why we're running a quick poll asking you please to tell us from what country you joined us. If you are in social media, please write your country in the comments section. And if you are here on Zoom, then please hit the right button in the poll. I'll wait for a couple of more seconds. And I can already see that approximately half of the attendees are from Nigeria. We won't be able to wait for long, but I'm sharing this results with you. 50% of participants that we have so far from Nigeria. We have West Africa, Northern Africa, Central and South Africa, Middle East, some from Europe as well. We're very happy to have you on board. And then the last questions before we start, we wish to learn more about the industry that you join us from. This will help the speakers today to tailor their content a bit as they speak in order to satisfy the requirements, let's say, of the audience that we have today. Let's take a couple of seconds to tell us if you are a developer or an EPC or consultant. And I'll stop the poll right away, pretty quick. I see that we have like equal distribution between developers, EPCs, public sector, academia, a lot of consultants with us today. So that's a fair distribution. A lot of participants. It's like the renewable energy sector that accommodates a lot of players, and everyone is important to make this energy transition successful. So without further ado, and I move the mic to Justin. Very happy to have you with us for the first time, Justin. And you may share your screen, please. We can't hear you yet because you're on mute.
Oh my goodness, there it is. Ever since 2020, that's the phrase.
That's right.
Well, thank you, Monif, and great to be here, everyone. Thank you for joining us this Friday afternoon, Nigeria, South Africa time. It's great to be discussing energy storage in Nigeria, a topic that Odyssey Energy Solutions is very passionate about with our partners Jinko. Just to emphasize what was shared, if you have any questions at any point in my presentation or after, please even drop them in the chat box when you think of them, but we will address them at the end of the webinar. So as noted, my name is Justin. I'm the Vice President of Procurement Solutions at Odyssey Energy Solutions. Odyssey is a US company that is a platform to help distributed renewable energy companies finance, build, and operate solar projects throughout the developing world. We were founded more than 4 years ago, and since our founding, we've deployed more than 1.3 billion in financing, USD. We've supported more than 37 financing programs, particularly throughout the developing world, more than 35 of which throughout the African continent. And we've supported more than 2,100 renewable energy companies. We're also happy to say that our largest program and our flagship program has been in partnership with the Nigerian Energy Program in Nigeria, with large funding from the World Bank and others, in which Odyssey has served as the platform of record for all distributed projects administered through that platform. We are a very global team. We are based throughout the world, throughout Africa, Europe, the US, and Asia, and we are constantly growing. So it's really great to be on this journey. As the industry grows, so does Odyssey. So we have built a one-stop shop to help renewable energy companies with their projects throughout the developing world. So we offer planning and forecasting tools. We offer financing, particularly for not only concessional financing programs, which are often in partnerships with host governments, often with money from the likes of the African Development Bank or World Bank. But we also have partnerships with private banks, with companies such as SocGen and other local private banks, such as FCMB, for instance, in Nigeria. And so our aim is very simple, and it's to deploy capital to the distributed renewable energy industry. Part of that, of course, is supporting with where 70% of a project cost lies, and that's in procurement, and that's in CapEx, and that's what we're here to discuss today. And I'll share with you shortly what is some value that Odyssey adds in that regard. And then lastly, we also help with the remote monitoring and controls of these distributed renewable energy assets. So we offer both API software integrations, as well as hardware integrations on these assets once they're deployed to sites. So we offer things such as fleet management and controls in a way that is very easy to understand for any operator. So before I go further into specifically Odyssey Procure's offering and what we'll discuss today, I do want to take a moment to paint the picture of the storage landscape in Nigeria that we are going to take a deep dive on. So as at least half of you know on this call, because half of us here are coming from Nigeria, it is an extremely unique market in Nigeria. And this graph on the right here says it all. 8 times more the grid capacity is generated off-grid through private generators in Nigeria. And this is a statistic unlike any other country in the world. So that means private generators, the capacity makes up 8 times more the grid capacity, which is roughly at any time between 4 to 6, maybe 7 gigawatts. But functionally, it's usually between 4 to 5 gigawatts. And so this is a trend that's not going away. And as fuel subsidies have been lifted in the country, renewables are becoming increasingly attractive and adaptable to address this gap. So as we've been saying in renewables for a long time, the time is now, but it's very clearly the time now in Nigeria with these factors at play. And then also for context, you can see from this graph on the left that lithium batteries, the opportunity to have lithium batteries in projects and have benefits from lithium versus lead acid is also becoming increasingly apparent and widely adopted. And you can see some of the factors associated with the benefits of lithium versus lead acid. And although there's a higher CapEx, certainly on lithium storage, those that go to lithium never turn back to lead acid. And it's for these reasons that you can see here, which Yewande will outline further in her presentation. A little context about the solar landscape in Nigeria. The addressable market is very large and it is growing. Now, it is a largely informal market, which is not a surprise to at least again half of the call here. It is a very informal market, and it is a market full of many businesses and entrepreneurs, and that's also the most exciting thing about the market. And so you can see some of the market, the addressable market has been on the rise and has been growing. Somewhere above $100 million is current estimates. And most of that is focused on the deployment of C&I solar. I should step back for a moment and say these numbers do not include storage. This is only PV and inverters, including hybrid inverters in this analysis. I'll come to in the next slide specifically the storage numbers. So you can see where projects are deployed by region in the top right. You can see where most projects are adapted to, including C&I, utility, residential. For others not familiar potentially with the Nigerian landscape, it may be a surprise that utility projects are only roughly 14% of the adopted solar PV market. But to those in Nigeria, it's not necessarily a surprise, as the offtake agreement with the utilities is notoriously difficult. So although there's many signed PPAs, there's very few projects that have moved into execution. You can see reflective of the C&I opportunity, most projects above 100 kilowatts in terms of total adopted capacities, and that's also likely not a surprise. And then given the numbers of the diesel generators in the previous slide, and the use of diesel generators in the distributed energy market to address the power generation gap that the grid does not offer, it's no surprise that the biggest adopter of solar is for solar diesel solutions, which you can see in the bottom left corner in blue. Now, to move on to specifically the storage market, there was a study done by USAID from the US government in 2021. Admittedly, it's a little old by now, we're just over a year, but it's the most comprehensive study I've seen to date on the lithium energy market. And the graph on the left predicts, this was the prediction of the market size in a 2 to 3 year forecast, which takes us from the time of the study roughly to today. And you can see in the highest estimated scenario, the addressable market of lithium battery solutions is about $50 million US, which is likely pretty close to the current adoption in the market. But the total stationary storage market is well over $200 million. And that is in the highest, most likely, the highest probability scenario of the biggest market size. But I think based on market knowledge and others in the industry, I think it's safe to say it's well over a $200 million stationary storage market, which again, stationary storage, including lead acid and lithium. In terms of adoptable technology, this is characteristic in Nigeria of everywhere else in the world in terms of cost. Top of the list in terms of most cost effective, I will say. I will not say most value for money, because I think that's clearly lithium ion is the winner. But it's lead acid, lithium ion, lithium sulfur, zinc air, lithium air, vanadium redox flow batteries, which we've seen 1 or 2 projects in Nigeria, but not adapted widely, similar to what we've seen in other parts of the world, including South Africa and Kenya. And then you can see further down on the list. So that's just a little picture, which Yewande will expand on further and share specific projects and adopted technology of lithium. But rest assured that the solutions we're going to talk about today are the best for the market and definitely the most cost effective for the market. I should also say that part of Odyssey's profile has been to support mini grid developers throughout the country, and the rise of mini grids is very clear in Nigeria, and one of the leading adopters of energy storage in the market. And you can see from these trends here which in the interest of time, I will not get into further, but they're clearly on the rise. Now, just in the remaining few minutes, I will say that our team at Odyssey Procure is here to help renewable energy companies with a better procurement experience. That means everything from best pricing that we can achieve through partnerships with Jinko. We have best price guarantee for all of West Africa. We offer better payment terms in an initiative that I'll outline shortly. We offer informed procurement decisions, and that's something as simple as, hey, we want to go with this OEM, but we don't know if they've had a project successful in Nigeria before or in Kenya. Do you have any case study references for us, Odyssey? And we're happy to answer those questions as best we can and compare knowledge of the industry and specific developers' implementation history. We also offer supply chain services. We've done this both for OEMs as well as developers, where we're helping bring in equipment to countries like Nigeria specifically, where we've had a presence for a long time, and we know some of the supply chain obstacles and challenges, and we know how to address them. You can engage with Odyssey both online and offline. You can click this link, which will be available in the chat box, to create a free account on our website. And under this account, you can see things like what equipment we have coming into Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya. In the near future, just Nigeria. And then in the medium future, we'll have it into South Africa very soon. And then you can engage offline with us also through getting in touch. And we offer this with strategic partners and OEMs such as Okra, as I mentioned, as an OEM partner whom we are supply chain partners. I should say lastly that to spotlight one initiative we have is it's called the Better Payment Terms Initiatives. And this is an initiative available in Kenya, South Africa, and Nigeria, which allows developers or EPCs or installers to pay as little as 10 to 15% down, 10% down if the company is a member of the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria, which is one of Odyssey's partners. The association is called RIAN. And if you're a member of RIAN, you can pay as low as 10% down. We will pay your supplier in full. We will import everything for you into the country, and then you can pay us the balance after arrival in our warehouse. And you can pick up the equipment within 30 or 60 days. 60 days if you're a member of the Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria, and 30 days if you're not. You can also pay in local currency under this initiative, and this is an initiative simply designed to make working capital easier, easier to manage for a renewable energy company. It's designed to take the logistics nightmare away from renewable energy companies, which by default help companies better manage lead times of equipment, an issue we've seen throughout the industry as a big bottleneck to getting projects off the ground, particularly with energy storage systems. And we also offer case-by-case technical support and aftercare, as we do with Jinko. So if that's of interest to you, we'd love to hear about your project requirements and your equipment requirements. You can get in touch on our website. You will be assigned a dedicated account manager, which is all free of charge. And that account manager, their job is to help you spec your project, understand what is possible with the lead times available, and what payment terms you can buy that equipment on. We also have been pioneers in the battery energy storage system space, as you'll hear about shortly with Jinko. So we've supported a number of renewable energy BESS projects throughout Nigeria. We're excited about the trends to BESS, which is a simple turnkey solution, as Yewande will tell us all about today. And it's something that we love to geek out about with our renewable energy partners. So please, if you have a project and you're wondering about the size of the PCS and the discharge rates and anything else related to your solution, get in touch with us today. And we are an extension of the Jinko team to help answer those questions. We've supported these projects specifically with Jinko in Nigeria of these sizes. We also had additional partners in these projects, such as the Shell Foundation and our partners at All On under the DART program, which is the Demand Aggregation for Renewable Technology program. And we've supported these projects deployed throughout the country with Jinko panels and full Jinko BSS solutions. I should say that lastly, this is the last point, that we are also bringing in a container of PylonTech UP5000 low voltage batteries. These batteries are available in Lagos within 2 weeks. If you purchase these batteries before they clear the ports, you can get a very good deal on them in terms of price. If you wait till after they clear to Odyssey's warehouse, you'll still get a good deal on price, but you won't get as good of a deal. So please, if you're interested, get in touch with us today. You can access this pricing and information through our website, and you can see which equipment we have coming in, specifically how many batteries are still available. Last I checked, there's 200 exactly available, and we have rolling procurement regularly into Nigeria. So we have more orders coming that are being placed now with Jinko, Deye, PylonTech, and others. So please get in touch today, and we are happy to price these up for you. So without further ado, Yewande, my friend, I will turn it to you, and thank you everyone for your attention.
Thank you very much, Justin. Yewande, you're on mute. Yeah, great.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining in today. So I'm going to start with this, for Odyssey, we're going to ensure that we knock off every other brand and retain just Jinko on the seats. So both on the large scale CNI ESS and even on the small scale ESS. So Justin, we're going to discuss after this webinar. Good afternoon again, everyone. Today we're going to be discussing about advancing energy storage in Nigeria, especially because we understand the intricacies of how things are in the country. I won't spend much time on the introduction. We already know how things are in the country, how things are generally in Africa. We are very key on electrification and energy access, using renewable energy, especially solar. Today, according to Irina's case study, we're expecting that Africa's market will reach, about 10 gigawatt by 2025. And then, of course, we know that this is really driven by off-grid renewable energy, of course, which needs energy storage ranging from the small scale all the way to the utility scale. And we see that even in the Nigerian market, that the upscale of renewable energy, both on mini grids, CNI, residential scale for industries, for agriculture, name the different sectors, is increasing day by day. Not even with the recent change of events where we had the complete removal of subsidy, tariff of electricity is increasing. We're beginning to see much more cost reflective tariffs, on our energy bills. So we see that there is a positive shift towards renewable energy, especially solar PV, solar hybrid diesel systems, solar battery systems. And that's one of the things that Jinko is very peculiar about. In the global market, just covering not just Nigeria, not just West Africa, but Africa at large, and even on the global space, we see that between 2022 and 2023, there's going to be a substantial increase in energy storage use and demand, going from 40.4 gigawatt hour in 2022, which we recorded, all the way to 67.6 gigawatt hour, which is a forecast. Anything could happen, and it could even increase beyond this. As at the time they were making this forecast in 2022, there was no idea that there was going to be a complete removal of the subsidy here in Nigeria. So, I'm very sure that by the end of the year, we would see that we'll possibly have higher than 67.6 gigawatt hour as a record for energy storage globally. Talking about Jinko Solar, we already know that Jinko Solar is a stellar manufacturer of PV modules. That's one thing we've been known for over the years. But then one of the things that stuck out for us was going beyond just supplying PV modules and going back to seats. We wanted to be part of the energy transition plan. We wanted to be part of, the global net zero plan. We wanted to be part of sustainability as a goal itself. And we decided to diversify our portfolio, expand our portfolio to include energy storage, solar water pumps, solar street lights, of course, amongst the solar PV modules. We went even beyond that to ensure that one of the reasons why we're introducing energy storage into the portfolio or the product portfolio of Jinko itself was to ensure that we were part of, the first people or the first OEMs to take that bold step into ensuring smart, safe, and sustainable energizing products for economies, especially the African economy. We also ensure that we're not just supplying energy storage, we're ensuring that, in terms of safety, in terms of the risks, in terms of complexity, of course, in terms of the financials, because that, the financials is very, very important when it comes to, how feasible your product is. And then we have, different products ranging from the residential scale all the way to the utility scale. Just a minute, sorry. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and see the presentation.
All right, let me see what's going on with my...
Meanwhile, I wish to remind everyone that if you have any questions, please send these questions in the Q&A section, and don't delay them till the end of the session. So we make sure to answer these right after this presentation. We will have approximately 15 minutes to answer your questions before the end of the session. Additionally, I've got a couple of questions regarding the presentation and the recording. You can either access the same registration page that you used to register to the webinar, or just wait to get the recording by email within 48 hours. You'll get an automatic email from Zoom to the same email that you used to register. So you could watch the recording or get access to the presentation files. Meanwhile, we see that you moved the slides. It seems like it works.
Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. Just to continue. So I was talking about the ESS portfolio we have in Jinko. Here we have the residential ESS, which ranges from 3 kWh to 50 kWh. The CNI, which ranges from 50, 69 kWh all the way to 2 MWh, and the utility scale, which ranges, above 2 MWh. Now, talking about the residential ESS, we have the, single phase and then the 3-phase, of course, low voltage. The high voltage batteries are limited to the European market. And we understand that, because of the kind of market in Africa, we do push more of the low voltage inverters and the batteries. For the single phase low voltage inverter, we have, as I mentioned, from the 3.6 kilowatts to 6 and 8 kilowatts inverters, single phase. For the 3-phase, they're ranging from 8 kilowatts to 12 kilowatts. For the batteries, that's the low voltage batteries, we have 2 types. We have the 4.8 kilowatt hour or the 5.12 kilowatt hour. And this is how it looks like. You could rack them, you could stack them depending on the capacity you're looking at. And as I mentioned, this is the single phase. This is how it looks, and this is the 3-phase inverter. On the CNI, which is one of the things that we've had a lot of inquiries and a lot of projects on, and those projects are still growing in Nigeria and in Africa. Especially because it is very, very good and suitable for off-grid projects, mini-grid projects, and even CNI industrial projects. So on the CNI ESS, we have the Sun Giga, and then we have the air cooling outdoor all-in-one cabinet. Now the Sun Giga ESS is a liquid cooling outdoor cabinet, and it's an all-in-one cabinet, fully containerized. So you have your PCS, that's your power conversion system. You have your battery management system. You have, of course, your battery rack. You have your HVAC, your fire suppressants, and everything, the EMS, everything is all containerized. Everything is all inside the IP65, IP68 system. Same thing with the air cooling outdoor all-in-one cabinet. Now, this is the air cooling outdoor cabinet, which has the, the ventilation, the HVAC and all. And then we have different ranges or different capacities, ranging from 50 kilowatt, 69 kilowatt hour, all the way to 500 kilowatts, 1.62 megawatt hour. Now, the 50 kilowatts ESS has 3 battery capacities, 69 kilowatt hour, 135 kilowatt hour, and 196 kilowatt hour. And then you can see from what you can see on the screen, the different capacities for 100 kilowatts, for 150 kilowatts, for 250 kilowatts, and then for 500 kilowatts. So you can see the different capacities of storage that you can, purchase, depending on your autonomy for backup power that you're considering. This is just, a snippet of the technical specification of the 50 kilowatts CNI's air cooling system. And, of course, I'm going to possibly share this sheet or this so that people can, see, and we can discuss further than this. You can connect so it's very good for both off-grid and on-grid systems, or project, your DC-DC converter or your AC-DC converter, depending on what project you're looking at. This is how the 500 looks like. It's in a 40-foot container, because you know that this is way larger. And the 540 kilowatts is in a 20-foot container, of course, smaller than this. This year represents a 500 kilowatt, 1.62 megawatt hour ESS. And we have such projects here, even in Nigeria. When we get to that point, I will show you some of the pictures. For the Sun Giga liquid cooling outdoor battery cabinet, this is much more sophisticated, much more good for larger C&I projects. It has, of course, as you can see it, the power conversion system, which you can connect to your battery bank, and then your energy management system. The good part is most of the Sun Giga and the air cooling system is compatible with most PV inverters and as well. So if you have a case where you have a PV inverter or you have an inverter, you want to connect the Jinko BESS2, all we need to do is understand what you want to do before manufacturing, integrate it into the system, the backend protocols all integrated and synchronized so that you have no issues when it comes to your installation and commissioning on site. Going to the, just looking at the internal configuration of how it is, as I explained. So you have the battery racks, you have the air conditioning units, you have the internal AC control box. Of course, your MPPT is all included. You have your isolation transformer in there. Of course, it's important that safety is put into check. So you have your fire and safety gadgets and appliances inbuilt into the containerized system as well. So at every point in time, your system is cool, the system is safe, and then operating at as much as safe as possible. Depending on the capacity of the storage, that's how your container size will be. For the 5069, it's a 7-foot container, and of course for the 500 1.6, you'll have a 40-foot container. Of course, you have your energy management system and your remote monitoring and control. So you're able to remotely monitor, remotely supervise, remotely review, remotely control your battery energy management system. Now, the good part is you can integrate and synchronize it with your PV modules, with your generator or your grid. Now, depending on what you're connecting, if you're having an off-grid or an on-grid system. So that way you are able to even also connect with your third-party SCADA system and remotely monitor seamlessly, control, download the data of how your system is performing, and then of course use that as a proactive preventive maintenance on your system, all through the useful life of the system, both PV modules and energy storage. On the utility scale, which we do recommend for projects above 2 megawatt hour, and then of course, larger scale projects, we have the SunTerra liquid cooling ESS system. And of course, this is certified. This is good for much more harsh weather conditions, extreme cold regions or extremely hot regions, islands where access there is very limited. And we can see it's of course majorly for utility. The security here is higher. It has a 3-level security, ensuring that before you have a failure on the system, there is multi-layer protection on your cell, on the entire system, that prevents failure of the system to the barest minimum. Your auxiliary power consumption, of course, is very minimal as compared to, of course, the air cooling. So that way you are able to properly design your system. You don't have to oversize. The service life here is way longer because of putting consideration in terms of extreme cold or extreme hot weather or environment, your system is able to last longer. One of the things we do understand is that once your system is in a place where the temperature is really hot, it begins to affect your battery. But then we've put into consideration this and ensure that when it comes to the SunTerra and even the SunGiga, extreme temperatures are put into consideration such that your system can last longer. The energy density here is also higher. Each container capacity can go as high as 3.44 megawatt hour. So you don't need to stack so many containers in a place before you can have the scale or the capacity that you're looking at for your project. The discharge efficiency here is also way higher, and you have as high as 99% discharge efficiency. You can discharge all the way to 100% DOD. Of course, we do advise that you leave it at 90%. Of course, in terms of management of your system. The O&M cost is also lower. And then this, of course, affects your levelized cost of storage. So that, when you're looking at your return on investment, your internal rate of return, your economic feasibility, when you're, proposing your solution, as a developer, an EPC, even a financial or funding body to your clients, it's making a lot of sense. These are just the parameters, as I'd explained, in the previous slide. And of course, we can share the slide so that you can, look at it and digest it better. Jinko Solar doesn't just supply energy storage solutions or batteries and then go to sleep. We ensure that even from the commissioning stage of your system, we are on board, we are involved. We ensure that we also carry out technical trainings, introductory technical training, installation technical training, and even the commissioning training as well. And of course, even after service or after sales support is very top notch. We ensure that, as even sales people, we are very technically savvy and ensure that we can give you as much technical support as possible. We also have local technical teams on ground that can virtually and physically attend to you on site. If need be. And then, of course, we have our team, both in sub-Saharan Africa and then, of course, in China, the headquarters, to remotely attend to you and give you the best support as much as possible. No question is too small. No question is lame. No inquiry is too bogus that we cannot attend to and give as much support as possible. Because we understand that once your system is working fine, you have better sleep at night, and we are also satisfied that we've delivered a good service and a good product to you as well. Jinko Solar's BSS cuts across and it can be used across multiple sectors, industrial sector, manufacturing, residential, schools, mini grids, agricultural sector, that's when it comes to the farms, hotels. I mean, name it. And, I'm not just saying it from just a talk point of view. These are some of the projects we've done. On the left-hand side, which is going to be the right-hand side of your screen at your end, you can see that this is Jinko's factory, and this is a 10 megawatt, 20 megawatt hour ESS. Now, we don't just talk, we also do. We also ensure that we're not just selling the products to you, we are also using it so that I mean, we can experience whatever you're going to experience. We've experienced it firsthand even before we sell it to you. But that whatever it is that we can address on our end before we're even sending it down to you as the end user, we've done that. On this side, you can see this is somewhere in Lebanon. This is a 2 megawatt hour system. This is also in China. This is in Mozambique. This is a 1.6 megawatt hour ESS. This is in Kenya. This is was done for a remote village off-grid system. This is a 1 megawatt, 1.4 megawatt ESS. Of course, bringing it home, because I'm not going to leave Nigeria, which we're really talking about today. This is in the southeast. This is an 100 kilowatts, 192 kilowatt hour ESS. It was for a mini grid, and it's operating and working fine. This was done by a developer here in Nigeria. This is for an hotel. This is a 50 kilowatts, 192 kilowatt hour. And this was installed as a backup for the hotel, such that it has reduced their cost on diesel and improved, of course, their management cost and overhead cost even for the hotel. This is in Nigeria as well. This is for an industry, a manufacturing facility in northern part of Nigeria. This is a 250 kilowatt, 945 kilowatt hour ESS. In Nigeria, some of us might have seen this, some of us in Nigeria and some of us that are in the northern side. This is for a market in the northern side of Nigeria. This is a 1 megawatt, 1.2 megawatt hour ESS done by a developer as well here in Nigeria. This is for a farm, an agricultural facility, and this is a 50 kilowatt, 69 kilowatt hour. It's been functioning well, and it's been a really, really good augment of power for this farm. And, of course, we'll not forget the residential scale. So meaning we're cutting across both, the CNI and the residential. This was done for a cold room somewhere in Lagos, and this is a 20 kilowatts, 50.8 kilowatt hour used. This was using 2 units of 10, 12 kilowatts, 3-phase residential scale inverters, and of course, stacking the 5.12 kilowatt hour to get 50.8 kilowatt hour. This is somewhere, of course, in Djibouti. This is 1 megawatt, 1.2 megawatt hour. Now, the reason why I put this last picture is to show you that the Jinko BESS can, be installed in different locations, in the coastal region, in the, pure terrestrial region, in dry, arid areas, in very dusty environment, in environment where it's very difficult to get access to. We ensure that the container and the entire system itself has the resistance to corrosion, to heat, to dust, to of course, we can't say theft, but we ensure that you put in your security there as much as possible to avoid theft. I think that's in summary, that's it. And I'm here to answer your questions. And please feel free to inquire much more about the Jinko BESS. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yewande. This was very, very helpful presentation with a lot of practical and actual projects that have used the Jinko project at multiple scales and multiple applications, which is awesome, especially across Africa and many, many countries around the world. Thank you for that, Yewande. As this leaves us exactly with 10 minutes for Q&A, Justin, as we agreed, if you please take a look at the questions that we have and to lead this part, please.
Will do. Thank you, Yewande. Thanks, Monif. Excellent. Wonderful presentation, Yewande. All right, let's get into it. In the interest of time, we have 10 minutes and a lot of great questions have come in. So feel free to keep asking the questions. And if we can't get to them, we will be sure to make sure they're addressed offline. So Yewande, first questions, I'll bundle into one. One question is, how can I access these equipments in Nigeria? And then the related question is, your products are not readily available in the market, which I'm sure you can challenge that. And you currently have partnerships in place for your products for distribution in Nigeria. Related, and you hinted at this, what's the sales support from Jinko once your products are installed?
Okay, so I think that's multiple questions. So let me start with the first part. So for the Jinko systems, both the residential, that's the small inverters and the smaller batteries, and then of course the CNI, we do have them readily available. Now, this is the difference. For commercial and industrial scale batteries, it's not something you put on the shelf, meaning it's not something you manufacture and put on the shelf and just leave there, because it is project specific. So you could have a customer or a client who comes in today, or a developer or an EPC, who wants an AC coupled system, or who wants it to be connected to an MV panel or an LV panel. So these are different, specifications that needs to be integrated into the design and the manufacturing of that system. Some even want a customized solution different from the standard solutions that Jinko readily supplies. So because of that, you have to make your procurement and make your place your order in good time to allow for manufacturing and delivery. Right now for the CNI scale systems, it takes about 90 to 110 days from start of procuring all the way to delivery to Lagos port, or if you want us to deliver to your facility or to your site. Now, for the residential side, we do have our distributors who have the batteries and the inverters, both in Lagos and in Abuja. We have a distributor in Abuja. We have about 4 to 5 distributors in Lagos. And then they are readily available to not just sell or supply the inverters and the battery to you, but to also carry out after sales support with the Jinko Direct technical team and their own technical team as well. So we ensure that we don't just sell to you, we ensure that your system is properly installed, properly maintained, and if there is any issue, you can of course reach out to us, and then we can deal with that as well.
Thanks, Yewande. And if I may add, Odyssey is also a partner and distributor for Jinko, and we have our first container of 575 watt panels being procured currently. So yeah, there's a lot of options, as you can hear. So next question, Yewande, is there a solution for medium voltage, or could it be designed accordingly?
Yes, I did mention that in my last comment. There is a solution for medium voltage. All you need to do is, when you're making your requests, when you're making your design, all you need to do is integrate the medium voltage port on the BESS part, which is going to be connected to your medium voltage panel. That's all. So most times people don't make the full request of what they want. They don't give the full specification of how they want the system. And then when it gets to sites, then they begin to change the requirements, and then they run into problems. So all you need to do is make the request, oh, this is the system we want, but we're connecting it to an MV panel. So when we're designing and manufacturing the BESS, we include an MV port in the BESS, so that when it comes to your site, all you need to do is connect your MV panel plugin to the ports, and then they are both on the same level, 11 kV.
Got it, Yewande. Thank you very much for that. I think I'll take the next question briefly, and that is, how is Odyssey helping local entrepreneurs set up solar panel manufacturing outside of China or Europe? This person has made efforts to establish some in northern Nigeria, but the cost of financing is precarious from our banks. How can we help solve this situation? Well, it's a very tricky, delicate, complicated situation, given the global giants and pioneers of the industry. But we are here to help with financing for all aspects of renewable energy, and that's one area that this entrepreneur could tap into to explore those options. We have also looked into local battery manufacturing, although it's something that is not on the radar in the near future. I will go down to a question from Miracle. Thank you for the presentation. You've talked a lot about batteries, which is good, but there are many encouraging storage solutions which are being adopted across the world, like synthetic fuels, hydrogen, biogas, SAF, flywheels, and so on, which are very much compatible with solar systems. Is there any reason why you have not talked about or considered any of these other than ESS? Also, I'd like to be keen to know what the policies guiding the use and implementation of energy storage in Nigeria are. Turn it to you first, Yewande.
Okay, thank you very much, Miracle. So I don't know if you did notice there was a particular slide that was shared by Justin. When we started, or when the world went into batteries or energy storage, it started with pumped hydro. Now, pumped hydro is majorly even for large scale systems, and that's hydro system itself. But then for modular systems, bringing it to smaller scale, we started with lead acid. Now, one of the things that we found out about lead acid batteries was the energy intensity was small, the energy density was low, and so it made it most times within 2 to 3 years your battery is gone, even with good maintenance. With 3.5 years, your battery is gone. And so the next stage of research and development started, which went into lithium iron phosphates, lithium ion batteries. And so today, the reason why you see most energy storage companies talking about lithium iron phosphate batteries is because that is the most matured storage solution at the moment. It doesn't mean that the flywheels, the pumped hydro, the super semiconductors, the magnetic coils, the sulfates, the salt caverns, and every other storage solution is not possibly even maybe better, even including hydrogen. But then we're still in the research and development stage. It's still, some of them are still in the laboratory testing stage. Some of them are not yet economically feasible and viable for projects. And so today, lithium ion batteries are the ones that have matured both on the technical part and the economical or financial part for projects. So that's why we have that, today in the market. The second part of the question, Justin, can you remind me?
Yeah, second part of the question is, they'd be keen to know the policies guiding the use and implementation of energy storage in Nigeria.
Okay,
Happy
so
to take
today, apart from the Nigerian Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Policy that talks a little bit about energy storage, there is no specific policy or regulation directed towards energy storage yet. Well, of course, we're getting there. We want to believe that with the likes of REA, GIZ, and ESP, the EU, and every other body, World Bank, AFDB, come together with the government, we'll definitely get to that point where we develop and form a very robust policy and regulation on energy storage that would, cover duty waivers, cover the procurement, that'll cover the use, that'll cover even the discharge of waste or the end of useful life of those batteries, because that's also one part of energy storage that we need to consider. But today, it's majorly renewable energy, that's solar, that has been completely done, that has a holistic policy and has a little part of it talking about energy storage. We'll definitely get there in Nigeria, and we'll know that we'll have more policies that would favor the use, the integration, and even the manufacturing of energy storage here in the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Yewande. Wonderful. Yeah, I will also add to that. This is a joint effort, as Yewande mentioned. So we are definitely partners in hand to advocate for things such as duty exemptions and other policies to make renewable energies more widely adopted in Nigeria. Currently, there are quite a few bottlenecks to achieve that related to this part of the question, including different policies from different ministries on, if there are actually things like VAT for renewable energy equipment. Unfortunately, there is VAT for renewable energy equipment, so we can just be a clear source of reference on that. But there are things that we can pursue to achieve duties exemptions and other things that Odyssey is also involved with for Jinko imports. So if that's of interest to you, please get in touch with us. There's quite a few number of questions, and we're already at time. So I will just reiterate that if you'd like to see this presentation, it will be available through the website shared earlier, procure.odyssey.energy. This will be a recording available for free. It will also be shared following this presentation on the email that you used to register for this recording. Yewande and I are available to answer any questions you may have. Yewande has listed her email address. You can get in touch with me through the Odyssey Procure website. You can also see on that website the range of solutions that Yewande outlined, from low voltage to high voltage. I also see that question. You can also see the parameters regarding selling back into the grid, which of course currently is still a challenge in Nigeria, although you can understand how that technology is available through Jinko solutions. And I'm trying to address a lot of the other questions that came up, but I believe in the interest of time, we will end it here. I will say thank you so much to my fellow panelists, and thank you, Yewande and others, for joining today. We hope this is see you later, and hope to continue the conversation. This is not an end to the conversation. Maybe to Monif.
Thank you very, very much, Justin. I wish to thank the hundreds of people that joined us today, that in such a useful conversation that we had today. I think the first step towards picking up the right solution is this awareness about the technology, about the market, of what is in there, and this helps a lot to have a better understanding regarding the requirements or fixing or improving the requirements for your upcoming projects. I wish to thank for the people that have joined us today on Friday afternoon after a long working week. It's a now well-deserved weekend for everyone. Enjoy the weekend. Hopefully you have a good and joyful one, and hopefully we'll meet soon. I wish to take the time as well to thank our panelists today, Yewande and Justin, for the very informative content that they have delivered today and the presentations. And that's the reason for the tens of questions that are asking for the presentation and recording. You will get that automatically from Zoom by the email. There will be a link. Click on it to get the recording and the presentations, and you're all set to get that very soon. Thank you very much again. I wish you all a very good day until we meet next time on another panel soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'm still going to be here in the chat trying to respond to some questions before we completely go off.
Yeah, perfect. And also, there are a couple of links in there for Odyssey's website in case you are interested in the services of Odyssey. And I've sent also the link to Jinko Solar's Facebook page as well. Please use that to communicate also with the Jinko team, and you have Yewande's email as well. Then we'll need to stop the session, and I'll share the list of questions as we received approximately 30 questions. I'll share that list by email with the panelists, so they could also reach out to you with answers later on, probably next week by email. Thank you all. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.